Welcome back, everyone. This is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, here with another hero breakdown. And this one is on the second new commander that we received in the update, and that is Elena the Lone Ranger. Now, if you've seen my other two videos, you'll know that I gave a first look on both of these commanders where I just skimmed through what they were and gave my initial impression. And I've also gone ahead and broken down Jonathan and what I think his potential to be in the upcoming island raid. Next, I'm going to break down Elena. In my usual fashion, I will go over their skills, how they're going to be used in combat, good talent builds for them, and who you should pair them with in order to get the most out of them. Now, note, I don't have this commander. None of us do right now. So, as we learn more about this commander when she's unlocked, we'll be able to see how effective she truly is and how her skills really work. But for now, I'm going to give you an initial assessment and hopefully give you an idea of if she's worth spinning for, because she is the lucky roulette reward this time around. Without further ado, let's get into her skills. Now, this is massive. Chun, up to this point, had one of the highest single target damage factors in the game, but required 1200 rage to do it. And with the update, that did not change. She's still dealing 1200 plus an additional 20% on top of it, but that doesn't even come close to what she's capable of doing. At max level, it is 5400 base and 5950 if the enemy is flanked, and that happens every second for 3 seconds. The total for that being is 16,200 if the enemy is not flanked, and 17,850 if the target is flanked. That is insane single target damage, and still only requires 1,000 rage. So already we're off to an amazing start as far as skill damage is concerned. Second skill. When receiving AoE damage, there is a 50% chance of reducing damage received by up to 40%, and the trigger rate ups to 90% for AoE damage. This effect can be triggered at most once every 6 seconds. Here we are at the at most once every 6 seconds. The more I see it, the more I wonder if they're changing how they're writing this to sound more like how the effect is supposed to work. But the way it's worded makes it seem as if the timer itself is separate from the activation, meaning that from the start of combat to the first 6 seconds, this skill can trigger once. And then the following 6 seconds, it can trigger again. So it could happen at second number 5 as well as second number 7 and still not break the constraints of how this is worded. Now, as far as the effect itself, reducing AoE damage specifically means that you're going to want her to be targeting something that is not initially targeting her, and reducing the damage of any inadvertent damage that's coming her way. Having this 90% trigger rate means that at least once every 6 seconds, because in group combat there's a lot of AoE, you're reducing the damage received by 40%, almost half. That's pretty ridiculous as far as being survivable. Third skill, when flanking enemy troops. There it goes again. Rider squad defense is increased by 30%, and damage to the flanked target increases by 13.5%. Now, with Jonathan, as we talked about in another video, has only a 25% buff and is contingent on his other 20% buff to be falling below 30%, which isn't ideal. So chances are you're only working with his 25%. She doesn't have this problem. Chances are you're going to be flanking enemy troops quite a bit, because if your alliance is on the same page, you're all targeting the highest damage or highest debuff troops on the field. You only need one other person to be counted as flanking. So you're going to have this 30% buff up quite a bit. You're going to have this 13.5% damage increase up quite a bit, which is effectively higher than having a rider squad attack in this case. So you have a 43.5% buff, but this is actually higher than it seems. This is ridiculous. On top of her already insane damage. As for the final, increases basic attack damage by 30%. As if her skill damage wasn't high enough, let's increase her regular attack damage in the middle of it. When rage is above 50%, basic attack damage increases to 53%. So for half the time that, well, a little less than half because of how rage is accumulated, you're going to be dealing 53% damage, basic attack damage, and then following it up with the highest single target damage in the game. She is ridiculous at this point. And her awakened skill only makes it worse. You know how we had that nice damage to flank target bonus? At least it had a contingency. Here's another rider squad attack increased by 20%, and let's make her a little bit faster on top of it. I am really sad that she's actually in the roulette as opposed to the top commander in this case, because at least top commander would slow down some of the whales from being able to get to her. Because you would at least have a limit of how many people in a region could have it. We're going to see so many of her on the field in Island Raid, it's going to be ridiculous. Because everyone is going to be saving up their gems to get this commander. Because even if you don't run riders, this is an insane skill damage. That damage buff is not contingent on being riders. Reducing AoE damage is not contingent on her having riders. She's going to be an effective commander on the field. I don't think it's going to require her to have riders. But if she does, she's even more broken. Now, how are you going to use her on the field? Everywhere. I understand that the initial point for creating this commander was to pair her with Jonathan. That would be a mistake. Can she run counter rallies with Jonathan and be effective? Sure, absolutely. But that skill damage, she is going to kill weaker enemies, especially ranged commanders, with absolute ease. And if you're not able to move her around and target who you want to target, you're probably using her wrong. I don't think locking her into a rally is the best option for you. Get those buffs from your surrounding group fights. Get those damage reduction or damage increases on your enemies, and make use of this skill damage and all of its buffs as much as you can. Target the enemies you want to target, kill them quickly. Now, you could pair them. I don't think it's going to work well, but I'll go more into that later. Talents, she also got the better end of the deal on talent trees. Having both the rider squad and the skill squad means that you can pump this even more. Jonathan got screwed having support and general, but Elena, we can go into some other talents. We can pick up the rage skills. We can go ahead and max this all the way out to increase rage, because she only needs 1,000. Buff that damage. Buff that damage. Reduce skill damage on you. Skill damage dealt. Basically, max this whole tree out, and then come over to riders for some additional damage. A little bit more basic attack rage here. Damage dealt to riders range squads, As for these, I would go ahead and reduce the attack power if you can, if you have the talent points for it. Otherwise, pick up the additional stat bonuses for using riders, and you'll be golden. But first things first, max out this skill tree. Everything in it's good, then come over and focus on riders. Now, for pairs. They did intend to pair her with him. Even in open field, you could use her ability to kill and his healing factor to try and keep them both alive, because she's got pretty decent survivability. She's not healing any damage, but having a nice Rider Squad defense buff when Riders have a respectable defense as it is, having that reduction in AoE damage every 6 seconds, and being able to focus down targets that are dealing the most damage is going to make her an absolute menace on the field. In my opinion, I would pair her with someone that can increase her damage even more. Get that additional 15% damage without losing the skills bonus. Get that 50% chance on there, or get that 20% buff to damage taken for 3 seconds, and watch her damage soar. This will also give her a little bit more travel speed when she's not in battle and some rage generation, additional Rider Squad attacks, and the ability to focus down Rygoros if they're the only thing left on the field, and more damage. I honestly see these two being absolutely ridiculous on the field. I would be interested to see how these two actually do in an offensive rally. I'm not sure how well it would work compared to, say, the Bella Sven that we all see. And I'm sure this island raid, someone's going to try it. But currently, I believe the best option for Elena is Bella. Really hammer that skill damage home. Even if you lead with Bella and follow up with Elena, you really can't go wrong with the amount of damage that you're going to do. And with that, that's my deeper look into Elena the Lone Ranger. I'm going to be very interested to see how well she does in Island Raid next time around. With her opening up for the next Top Commander event for the top regions, I'm going to be able to get some footage on how well she does in combat, because everyone in their pickle is going to have this commander. So keep an eye out for some of the streams that me or the other YouTube creators in this game create for you that are going to showcase just how powerful she's going to be. And with that, this is Mr. Brain, your friendly neighborhood gaming dad, signing off.